A very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Friday night. I only messaged Nigel. I can't call him a guest because we did agree an awful long time ago that he's like a co-host, but it's been a fucking age since we last done a show together. But anyway, welcome to the West Ham Voice. It's late and I only decided to do this half an hour ago, and there's probably no one watching. But hey, we'll have a chinwag regardless. So let's bring him on because there's no agenda. We're just going to go and chat through stuff. Good evening, sir. How are you?
How we doing? Yeah. We've probably fell out twice since we last did.
Well, we had one or two conversations, didn't we? We had one or two conversations. That one of them being about the whole thing about the protests, which
yes,
I think is, I mean, we've had a conversation since then, and I've sort of changed my stance on it quite considerably. But let's start with that because there's no agenda tonight. So why don't we start with that and talk about, give an update if you've got one, if it's possible. Otherwise,
well, I mean, it's not my gig really. I'm just a participant in the, a vocal participant.
Bit more than that.
So anyway, sausages. Anyway,
yeah. No.
So.
Where's Sean when you need him to give you the rules?
The black balloon protest will continue. I was talking to him on the phone last night. Fucking hell. The old Bill should have nicked him. But anyway, I was talking to him on the sorry, I've got confused. That's Johnny. Go away, John. So we've got the black balloon protest that's ongoing. Now, the best way, I wasn't at the Man City game, no, I watched it on the telly because I was away. I think doing it at home is difficult, though it could grow. I suppose everything has to start from somewhere, doesn't it? There has to be an acorn to make an oak tree.
Yeah.
So I suppose the more you keep doing it, the bigger it'll grow. The other thing maybe is that personally, I think if you've seen what's happened to Aston Villa with their European ticketing, now wouldn't it be easy for Aston Villa fans to bang a few black balloons onto a pitch, and I've sort of put this to certain people, maybe should be going out to all the other Premier League clubs, and I think it's only Crystal Palace that weren't affected by price rises, and saying, if this becomes a football movement rather than a West Ham movement, an anti-ticketing football movement or Premier League movement, then maybe it will grow and it will actually carry a better effect.
I agree, because it sounded like that there was something on, I don't go on Twitter much, and I sort of like messed about on it today. And I saw someone, I think it was a Liverpool fan. I don't know. Someone said, "Oh, no wonder he's from Scousland or whatever." And he said, "Oh, West Ham fans."
From Liverpool, but I did see it.
Oh, did you see it? Yeah. And when you go, "Oh, West Ham fans and Aston Villa fans moaning about ticket prices," and I replied, "Well, you wait till it happens to you, then let's see if you're, if you'd be happy with not paying concession ticket." And I think this is it, isn't it? You're absolutely right. It's got to go beyond West Ham. It's got to become a thing across all football teams, doesn't it?
Just on these, the funny thing is that there's a bit of me thinks, in a point, does he have a point in a way? Because what he was saying is that you want to buy all these players, but you don't want to pay more money. But what he's missing the point is that this ain't about us as such, though you're nearer than me still, to be fair, paying our prices. It's all about the young and the old. This is about the junior concessions and the OAP concessions that have been removed from the club, that have been changed, that they've already backtracked already, as we know. Small part. So once you can get them to budge 1 inch, then you know you can just keep knocking on the door and keep knocking on the door. You know, you got the surge pricing that happened with Oasis the other day. Will it come to football? Well, guess what? In Spain, Valencia,
they're doing it.
Are doing so.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Other clubs will look at it and see what happens. Are the fans still paying the money? So
At the moment, fans will. I think what will happen is, Nigel, is what I think, what I've said, and I think you may have said it as well. It's all very well when we've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, etc., knocking on the door, coming to play at the London Stadium. When we've got the Ipswich towns, with the greatest of respect to them, you know, we're going to have trouble selling out that game, and it's already. I think that game is already heavily discounted. Am I right in thinking it's quite like kids for £1 or something? Is that
yeah,
one of the games?
they've looked at it, you know. And funny enough, I did see a text from the club, wasn't it? They went early with that, with Ticket Trader, and
They sure have, because
like
they know it ain't going to sell out.
Yeah,
you know, and I think this this.
But
I don't know
when
what,
was and there is a funny thing, yeah.
go on.
Think very hard. Like at Upton Park, we used to have kids for £1, 2 free a season, minimum 2 free a season. When we came to London Stadium, died a death. Now, yes, they did, but they did the kids' season tickets for £100. Now, I don't want to bore people again and again and again, but why did they do kids' tickets for £100? Because they never thought they'd sell out the stadium. People forget when we went in that stadium, it only had 52,000 seats. And the reason for that is that the club's own figures, the club believed they would only get 50,000 fans going. So then what happens is they've had to expand it and get permission. Now, if the club at the beginning of the move had set out and said there's 66,000 tickets in that seats in that stadium, we want to sell 66,000, then they would have been in a better position, wouldn't they? But what they wanted to do is they wanted to maximise it. They wanted every seat to be a season ticket holder to get the money in the beginning. Then what they find, the way they sold the tickets caused it, loads of empty seats every game. There's loads of different reasons why there's empty seats. There's people that can't make there's the changes of the kickoffs times. There's people, you know, football fans. I wouldn't say West Ham. All football fans now travel greater distance to support their club. Gone are the days where the peoples live local and walked up, or they got a train halfway across London. Now we know fans get trains halfway across the country and fly halfway around the world. So what the club now need to do is, we fucked up there in 2014 at the sales centre. What we need to do is cut back on the season ticket holders, because we got a queue of West Ham fans. I'm not going to call them tourists. So we've got the international fans, which you can visibly see the club is embracing.
Yeah.
And then you got the tourists as well, and they are the match day tickets. And this is the thing. The club now are in this corner.
It's a massive gamble, though, isn't it, Nigel? Because if you don't have, if you end up just wanting, you know, the fans from far and wide, and you know, the day fan, I don't want to call whatever you want to call them, the fans that don't go regularly, you know, the day fans or whatever. If you're beginning to rely on them for the bulk of your season tickets, and you forget about your season ticket, your core, I mean, if you lose 30,000 core fans, what then?
You know, what is the core, though? I mean, this is the thing. What is the core? I don't know now.
I'd still argue the core is probably no more than 40,000.
Right. See,
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, look.
Oh,
he's
frozen. Are you back? Are you frozen?
Oh, am I back?
You're back.
Right. Sorry about that. So Upton Park, the core was 22,000. That was it. Yeah, and you can look at that by going and looking at the cup games, the third round cup games, the second, the third round of the League Cup games. Yeah. So we'll get to that.
We'll come back to that.
I've started something tonight, blimey. So you know, the core there was about 21 odd thousand. Now, naturally, that core grew when we've moved, because what's happened is, there were people that would have gone 5-10 games at Upton Park, didn't have season tickets. They capped season tickets at Upton Park at 26,000. Very rarely did they ever sell out season tickets. In fact, the only years I can remember were straight after the playoff final, and then when we got to the cup final. And then, if you remember, the second from last season at Upton Park, you could still walk over there and buy a season ticket at the start of the season. Yeah, the second from last. It was only the last season at Upton Park did they hit the 26,000 sellout. So that's why they based their figures on the 50,000. And I know they did that because I sat in committee meetings and listened to the club, and this is the club's own figures that done that. So the core has obviously grown. I wouldn't say the core was 40,000 now. I would say more like.
I think the core has gotten to that, or it gotten to it certainly over the 26 that you mentioned. You're absolutely right. The last season at the Bowling was definitely the under 30,000. We know that there's always availability for tickets, but I think the core has grown, but I certainly don't think it's grown to the 60,000 that they think they've got. Plus this supposed waiting list, this mythical waiting list.
Well, I think there's a lot of people on the waiting list that have been shortchanged because you can see people that haven't been on the waiting list and managed to get tickets.
Yeah. So this is it. Yeah.
No, we all know people that have managed to do this. So I feel sorry for the people on the waiting list. I do really think they've been shortchanged.
Yeah.
And the thing you got to look at it, what are they doing? So when they've sat down at the start of the season, they've done the season ticket price rises, above inflation. So 11%, funny enough, where I sit, but still for a Premier League. I mean, my season ticket, I'll sit band 5. The reason I sit band 5 is I want to give them the least amount of money possible to watch the game. Not because I'm tight, because I don't like the club's ownership. So that's why. So I sit band 5. I'm happy there. 380 quid. I get my fix of my smack, which is West Ham, my drug of choice, and I get to watch them play. So
is that to Mr. Osborne, or is that
he's on it tonight,
to the club?
And you got a fare, to go and carry about around London or something.
Must be his night off.
Oh dear, yeah. So we with the ticketing, I mean, what about the ticket exchange prices for those that can't make any games? They are a joke. I mean, you say they're a joke. Here's a funny thing. If you look at it, so for a big game, so my ticket is exactly £20 a game. That's the easiest way to do it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
£20 a game, 380 quid, 19 games. But for Man City, they'd give me £28. But for Ipswich,
go on,
14, I reckon. If you're lucky. Yeah. Now the reason, and this is the thing, but people argue, why are they shortchanging us? Because what people do is they look at the match day price, 60, 70 quid, and then they look at the £27, the dearer your season ticket, the more you'll get. So because I'm a band 5, they'd have offered me £27. So how do you get more fans to go on Ticket Trader? Me, I didn't go to Man City game. What did I do with my tickets? I gave them to someone so they could take their kid to their very first West Ham game.
Yeah.
I'd rather give them away.
Than give the club the opportunity to buy them back for nothing and then sell them for.
They give it to you in club cash. Yeah. And then what do they do? If you don't take the club cash, now the strange thing is 2 season tickets, but I could only use the club cash when renewing both season tickets out of one pot. So the other pot I couldn't use. Then they're saying, if you don't use it by the end of August, we're having that back.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So Let's get on to another subject that because I've marked the comment and I'm intrigued because we spoke very briefly about it before we came on. So from Sam, I fully support your work against Ironworks Alliance. Going to be funny watching getting tourists to hold up the displays when we have our fan space eroded by the board. What's it all about?
I mean, I'm not against the Ironworks Alliance per se. So for those that don't know, Ironworks Alliance, a group of West Ham fans that are probably dispersed around the stadium, and they want to sing and chant and try and help create a better atmosphere.
Yeah, they're in the Bobby Moore. I know they're in the Bobby Moore lower.
I think originally, so this is how they start. This is the way I see it. Yeah, how they've started. Now, an old fart like me, I'm not a singer and chanter anymore. And the reason probably why, it's because I probably do it away games, is the reason why is I'm so far back, I know they can't hear me. So I don't see the point, to be fair, honestly. So at home games, I'm not a big singer. I do the bubbles and you know, when the atmosphere is good, I'll join in. But generally I like to sit and watch the football. But you do, and I get it though. You get fans that want to stand up and sing all game, and you get fans that want to stand on the seg line and just hurl abuse. They don't even watch the game.
Yeah.
And then you'll even get a fan who'll spend half the game on his phone and the other half videoing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can get content through his Twitter account and his website. Yeah. So they are there.
There seems to be more and more of them around at the moment.
So
at least I do it after the game.
Well, no, that's the point. At least you watch the game, you know.
Well, if you don't watch it, what are you going to fucking report?
Well, yes. Sean watches it back on the phone. I'll tell you. What happened? Oh yeah, fucking hell, I got that on video. So you get this group now, and actually, everybody that goes there knows that the atmosphere is shit. Now we can argue probably 10 different reasons why it's shit. Yeah, the layout of the stadium, the way the fans are and grouped together and everything. So it's good that people want to do something about it, and they were quick to go. They don't want to be the Crystal Palace ultras, you know. They don't want to be dressing in black and banging a drum. They're not the Ashburton army, you know, who like to meet up underneath a railway arch. But here's a funny thing: the Ashburton army probably helped spark a better atmosphere at the Emirates, yeah, because it was dull as dishwater there. We're going through the problems they had 5-6 years ago when they weren't winning what they thought they should be winning, and when they weren't playing the football they thought they should be playing. That was like a graveyard over at the Emirates. They were a spark, and the way the club thanked them was, well, where there's 200 of you, we're only giving you 100 tickets now. Off you trot, because that's what Arsenal done to them. So we get this group of fans, but then, so I think, right, good. You want to band together. That's it. Get your tickets. You want to be on the Bobby Moore lower. Why not? We all know that that's probably traditionally Bobby Lower used to be quite a good atmosphere when it was first built, and for singing, and everybody stood up there to try to keep the terrace park culture alive around on the Bobby Lower and that corner of the East Stand and then in Chav Corner. So that's good. Right, off you go. But then it becomes, oh, we want to have mosaics. Now, having a mosaic means that everyone in that stand now has to partake. Do you want to partake? Have they come to you still and asked you?
Well, I did challenge it on, I think it was on Twitter, the odd time I go on there, and I saw that they were in the Bobby Moore lower, and I kind of like, I didn't have a go at them. I just suggested that it's all a bit convoluted, and you know, if fans want to sing, they'll sing. If fans don't want to sing, they won't sing. And you and I have been there on nights, and I'm sure many viewers have, where it's been absolutely electric at that stadium. When the team are playing well, the fans are up for it and all that stuff. Come a fucking Sunday afternoon, a midday kickoff or whatever it is, when everyone's like had a skinful the night before, they've trotted along to the stadium, haven't had a chance to have a drink on a Sunday morning, and then we've got to watch a turgid game. You're not singing for love nor money. You know, whether and they are there's a bunch of them in the, because I'm in the Bobby Moore lower to the right of the goal, and they're in the middle, and they do start, and you know, they get one or two people going, but it ain't consistent, and it feels false, if you know what I mean. In the City game, the Man City game the other week, when we were playing well and we were getting excited, you were singing and you were chanting, you were screaming and all that sort of stuff, because it's a natural thing to do. You know, we take the bloody piss out of Palace, for example, when you're there and they got the drummer boy. What's next? Are we going to have a drummer? You know, and we take the absolute piss out of
They say they're not going to have a drummer, and us, you got to take them on face for that. And frankly, they've never turned up with a drum, and they've never said they want to bang the drum. So
yet
today they've announced they want this mosaic. Now it needs to be paid for, this mosaic, yeah, and they're crowdfunding it. So okay, if like Mike Mandy fans want to do it, knock yourselves out. But here's a thing, as I've pointed out to them today. One, you know, they've had to get into bed with the club. Now, naturally, that gets my back up, because I try not to trust anyone that gets into bed with the club, because I know firsthand the way this club operates when it deals with fans. It needs fans at this moment to be on board with them. So they've got their page in the program already, haven't they? They've already been in the program.
Yeah.
So, they're being drawn in. Now, whether they realise it or not, I think they're naive. They probably don't realise. They've probably never paid attention to fan committees and anything and what goes on, the stuff where I have. So I do know from inside the way the club works. And you can see it. It's like with the international fans. The way the West Ham use the international fans to project it. They're drawing them into the club. They're giving them a page on the website now to host their own, you know, host your own membership. So international fan group, the St. Louis Hammers and whatever, can have a page on West Ham, and their members can log on to that page. But what they've got to do, they've got to sign up on the website. It's clever. It's called a data grab. West Ham have now got their details, and we can sell things direct to that person who started off just being a member of St. Louis Hammers. So my message to international fans is, if you want to set yourself up, be the St. Louis Hammers. You don't have to be aligned to the club. But the club say, oh, it's like being a link, isn't it? They play on it and they use it. And I feel they're being used. I could be wrong, but generally, I'm not. And I feel IWA, the Ironworks Alliance, are going to be used or being used in this way. Secondly,
I've got nothing against what they're trying to do. I mean, we do need a bit of atmosphere at the stadium, but you know, maybe I'm a bit old in the a bit too old to sort of be coerced into singing if I don't want to sing, or if there's nothing to sing about. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. And I've got nothing wrong with them doing it. But I kind of agree with you. The approach is in some way or some way, shape or form, the club are going to use them. I'll get back onto concession tickets, because I think the club have used the issue with concession tickets as well. Because in my bit of the Bobby Moore Lower 155, we got a letter the other week telling us that, reminding us that we had to sit down because they've just put in a whole load of ambulance seating, or they've allocated, ambulance seating. And so I think I could be wrong, and I could become might become a conspiracy theorist, but we all appealed and said we want concession tickets the way it should be. The club have gone, fair enough, we'll put a few ambulance seating in the area that you lot stand in. And then they wrote a letter to everyone going, you've all got to sit down. Now, I don't know. Is this a way of getting back at the fans using, our demand for concession tickets in order to try and get us to sit? Yeah. And there's the other thing, going back to the IAW, they want them to create an atmosphere. Are you going to be singing while you're sitting down? You don't, do you?
No, you don't.
So it just seems all a bit odd. I don't know what the club are planning to do. I don't know what they're trying to get at, with concession tickets, with getting behind this group that want everyone to create an atmosphere, but at the same time telling everyone you've got to sit down. It's all a bit of a mishmash, isn't it? Shouldn't they have done what they should have done in the first place? And when we went to the new stadium, they should have had allocated seating, family section, all that sort of stuff, and allocated standing. Sorry, I should have said.
Well, look, at the end of the day, you know, if it was a stadium that West Ham controlled, they could have put rail seating in the lower tiers behind. Yeah, but they can't, can they? Because we don't own the stadium, so we don't control what seats are installed and where. They have put rail seating up in the away end and up behind the screens, but that was for health and safety reasons, because of the rake of the stand and that people standing persistently there. They had times where people had fallen down.
Yep.
So that's what they've had to do. Now, in regards to, you know, the tactic of putting ambulant seating in for more disabled people in the Bobby Moore lower, I suppose you could say it's a clever move, but then you look at the people that are going to want to be sitting there, and this is the thing: is where do you put the elderly people? You know, because you know, I remember years ago a fans meeting talking with a woman, and she was, I think, in her 70s, and funny enough, she did help give out leaflets against the move to the London to the stadium. She did come and turn up once and give out leaflets for me, and I remember talking to her about she'd been coming West Ham 60 years since she was a little kid. Her husband was a massive West Ham fan when he was alive. He was now dead. They stopped going away games because they couldn't sit down.
Oh,
yeah, and then it made me think, well, actually, that's right. What about those, when you go away games, we just stand up, don't we? So what about those that can't stand up?
Yeah.
Therefore, therefore you think, should the club put them at the front then?
Yeah.
So
well, that's what I suggested. It, you know, when we found out that there was ambulance seating in 155, the first thing I said was put them at the front.
Yeah. Now, Upton Park, on the lower west, that's what they did. The first disabled area, they put them at the front of the lower west, and they expanded that area over the years.
And there's your answer. I mean, it's just common sense, Nigel, isn't it?
But the lower west tickets are dearer, aren't they, than in the Bobby Moore lower?
Well, they are. Yeah, they are now.
Oh, so but that wouldn't be part of the reason still that they put them on the Bobby Moore lower, would
of course it ain't. What are you trying to say?
To do with it that they can charge 120 quid to watch, you know.
Exactly. Why would they do that?
On the
you know,
west
they
side.
wouldn't want half price tickets there.
No.
When people like Sean can afford to be there.
You know, it's that's you know, that in itself. Then you get the mosaic. One other option that I've thrown at them tonight is we've got the black balloon protest ongoing.
Yeah.
So there you are. You've got your black balloon. You're on the Bobby Moore lower, but now some bloke wants you to hold up a sign. What you going to do? Do you want to help the people that have arranged with the club to have a mosaic, or you're going to throw your black balloon to protest against the club for the way they're treating fans? And this is where I think they've been naive, because the club are hoping you're all going to stand there and hold up that sign and create that mosaic. No black balloons coming off the Bobby Moore lower.
Listen, I think.
And then I'll move on to what they've done. 1895. I mean, I try and educate people. We were formed in 1900. You know.
This takes me on to this question. Let's go and find it. Where is it? Oh God, I didn't delete it, did I? Here we go. From Mandan. Ask Nigel, is he going to do any more history stuff on West Ham YouTube? The stuff on Claret and Booze he did was very interesting to me as a young fan.
I can't say watch this space, but there may be So history stuff I may be doing on another channel. Yeah. I'm not a whore. I'm a leech. I don't have my own YouTube channel. I just leech off of others.
But you do have your own YouTube
I
channel.
do, but I do. Yes, you're right. I forget about that at times. Believe it or not. I do have my own YouTube channel, but that was never really for live. The reason why I set up my own YouTube channel was so I've digitized like all my West Ham 100-odd videos and DVDs. They all got digitized, and I thought it'd be a good way to bang them on there. So if I was sitting at home, I could watch them on. I could just watch them whenever I wanted.
Whenever
and I didn't have to put a DVD in or a video. Yes.
Can you divulge what the other YouTube channel is, or not yet?
No.
Okay, we'll leave that one. Why don't we go on to what the themes are? Well, there's no theme, but want to ask you about what you think of how we've done in the transfer window. And I'm going to put up the image of our current squad, and a couple of question marks. I mean, you've heard about Lopetegui. He wants 2 players for every position, which is fine. No, I don't have a problem with that. And at this moment in time, we don't know whether Rusty Egan, that's an old joke, so I don't know how many people will get that.
Yes,
John
I
Egan,
know.
You know who Rusty Egan is.
I do know Rusty Egan.
John Egan, we don't know. He played behind closed doors the other day, and we don't know if he's going to be offered a contract or not. And if he does get offered a contract, then you've almost got 2 players for each position. What do you think of our business? What do you think of our summer transfer business?
It's been the most prolific transfer window probably the club's ever had for players coming in. I can't think of any transfer window. Obviously the first season at London Stadium was quite busy, but I think this has surpassed it. As for quality wise, there's some good players in there. There's a lot of players that have never played Premier League football though.
Yeah.
And as we've seen with the likes of Haller, Dean Anderson, the players that really, and maybe that's a bit unfair on Anderson because he was good when he under Pellegrini when he started. To be fair,
I think Haller was good. I
yeah,
still maintain to this day that if we kept Haller, we would have probably done a lot better.
Well, he had a fantastic 6-7 months, got injured, and then was in and out. Still had a few niggles, and then I think it was obvious more his football didn't work for him. So, but what I'm saying is we've got these undoubtedly quality players that have come into the club and haven't done it, but then left and gone and done better things. Even though I noticed that Haller's been let go by Dortmund, I believe, on loan going to Leganes.
I didn't realise. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So okay. I don't know what's gone on there. If we look at Füllkrug, so let's start with Füllkrug because he's the one where I think 31-year-old, 25 million. I don't know if that's with or without the add-ons.
I think it's 23 plus 4 million add-ons.
So had a good season at Dortmund. He done well at Bremen, scored goals to help him get them up. Not prolific, I would say, in the Bundesliga. He didn't hit the heights that Haller did. So I actually on the fence with Füllkrug. He's one I think I've got to wait and see. What I've seen so far, I'm not sure about, but it's still early days. It's too early. You got to give him 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I agree. Have we lost our patience, Nigel? Because we're already getting people complaining about Füllkrug and he's not going to hit the ground running. And of course, I don't know if you saw that video that went out on Twitter where he was offside. I don't know what game it was. Bournemouth, I think. He was offside and he was still running for the ball because he didn't realise it was offside. He had about a couple of yards on a defender, and defender just like glided past him. He's not there for pace, is he? But then the only one with pace amongst those three is Antonio.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing is, you know, so we've got Fulkrug 31, Danny Ings 31, 32, Antonio
32 now.
34.
Yeah. Have we made a mistake or not? I'm gonna ask you this because we've got Irving.
Scored another couple of goals.
He did, yeah, but that against Dagenham and Redbridge. But so did Ings. He got a hat trick.
Yeah.
But we got Irving, and we spent 25 million on Guilherme, and already people are suggesting that we shouldn't have. All right, Irving came for nothing, and he came last year. But Guilherme, he came for 25 million pounds, and then we got Fulkrug as well for another 24. There's the money for Duran, wasn't it? Have we made a mistake?
No, listen. Here's a thing about Duran. Yeah, is that we were looking at Duran before Fulkrug. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's half of the Duran money straight away.
Yeah.
You know what? And what we're saying about Duran is, for the sake of 5 million, because we offered 35.
Yeah.
We pulled out of a 20-year-old striker, and then took 25 of that 35. Yeah, and put it on a 31-year-old.
What do you think's gone on there?
And
something
at the time, yeah, I never believed it was a bluff to get Duran in as well. At the time, it was one or the other.
Yeah,
and they gave up trying to get. Now, at the end of the day, we knew the player wanted to come because he was a silly boy.
Because of what he did.
Went and done the Mockney Hammers cross and everything, you know, and he's done that while still an Aston Villa player. I mean, let's get a thing. If people want to know what that is akin to, that is akin to Paul Ince having his photo done, holding up a Man United shirt while still a West Ham player.
Yeah.
And exactly the same. In pre-season, Paul Ince had his photo done in a Man United shirt because Man United were chasing him. So he's just done that. He should be grateful the Villa fans didn't give him the Paul Ince treatment that Paul Ince got in his first game back. But then again, Paul Ince didn't score against Stoke and Duran did. So, and that's where you can buy football fans off.
Yeah, and he did.
He did.
But why would we pull out of a £40 million deal for 5 million?
I don't
and go for a 31-year-old.
That's the bit that's the bit that baffles me. That's the bit that baffles me.
Do you think maybe it was probably a little more convoluted than just the odd 5 million? Do you think there was more to it? Because we heard this whole palaver about Lewis Orford, you know, and one story was that we offered him plus money, and the other story was that Aston Villa asked for him plus money. Now, I don't know what to believe because, you know, I can almost half believe that the club offered him plus money because he's going to be a phenomenal player.
Look, this is the way I look at it very quickly, is that why were they holding out for 40 million if they were asking for Orford?
Yeah.
They wanted the cash. Yeah.
Right.
That's
because
the way
they wanted to use that cash to go out and get a player they wanted.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So Orford, I don't know. But and here's the thing. How much I can reveal, I don't know. It's very late, people. He's not going to be watching.
No one's watching, so you can reveal as much as you want.
So basically, the madness of the conversation is that, of course, West Ham believed Orford weren't signing a new contract. Orford's fan, they're like, well, West Ham ain't talking to us.
Yeah.
I've
heard this. Yeah.
They sections of West Ham didn't want to deal with Orford's agent and wanted his dad to ring up. Yeah. So, by hook or by crook, Orford then signs a 5-year contract. Yeah. So it just needed the right people to talk to, and people that's a snippet of the truth. The actual truth is too fucking mad, to be fair.
Well, if it's the same truth that I've heard,
he's told you, mate. So don't.
I know he told me, yeah. And I'm sorry, people, that we're talking cryptically, but fuck me, I couldn't believe it when I was told, and I actually laughed when he told me.
Yeah, but it's not the first time, so I'm used to it.
I'm really sorry that we're talking cryptically, but there's a lot behind the Lewis Orford deal that people don't realise. The good thing is,
and people wonder why I'm cynical still.
Oh, mate. But in this case, fair play to him.
No, look,
but
how do you ever get to that situation where, something like that gets sorted out in the way it got sorted out?
I know. It is madness. It is madness, because I think what we can reveal is that Orford may have been left without a new contract had things not happened behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And we could have ended up losing him.
So it all worked out well for West Ham in the end, and for Orford, because these are West Ham people.
He's a West Ham boy, and he's going to be, and I was going to ask you about that. You look at the squad, Nigel. Someone asked me, is Irving there? And Irving is next to the Argentinian whose name's gone on Rodriguez, yeah. So Irving, so whoever asked that, Irving is there in the middle. The one thing that Moyes used to get moaned about was you don't give and I'll mention why Luzau's there in a minute. One thing that Moyes used to get criticised for was you don't use the youngsters. You don't use the youngsters. When are we going to see the youngsters, etc.? And what Lopetegui has done is he's moved all our best youngsters out on loan. They're all the only ones that I would argue are, have got an opportunity, maybe, and I don't think they will. Orford, Casey, and I think that's it in the current under-21s, because all the top youngsters at this moment in time are out on loan. So there's no chance this season alone for any of the youngsters to sort of make their mark. And I'm going to include Guilherme in on that. Or do you think otherwise? Do you think Guilherme will get a chance to play?
I don't know about this season. I think he will. I think we'll see him. I don't know at what point we'll see him, but I think he'll get a chance. Youth football's changing, and PSR has changed it, and basically, youth players now are big commodities to be sold, not to be kept. And it becomes a problem for a club that calls itself the Academy of Football. Now, there's two ways of looking at it. A lot of people think Academy of Football, we're bringing them through into our club, where it could be Academy of Football, you come and learn with us, we'll sell you, thank you very much. So as long as West Ham creates footballers that can be sold, the academy is still running and worthwhile. And that is, and you can see it, and actually, this is where people lose sight. Chelsea have been doing this for years. They've been very clever with it.
And now Man City, we're sort of all losing
Chelsea, I called them a year ago. They're like a bloody puppy farm. But weren't they the intelligent ones? Because they can go and sell all these players, and then they can sign up whoever they want.
And fans are getting upset because we let Mabama. Well, we couldn't do a deal with Mabama, and he's gone to Man City, and they've signed up their they've taken 3 of our academy players over the last year, and everyone's going, "Oh, keeping them," because they're doing what Chelsea have done. They're sweeping up some of the best talents around. They may never get a sniff at first team football, and that's not why they're being taken to Man City, is it? As you've just alluded to.
Well, look, they've the big one, I suppose, Mabama. It's a strange one. He ain't gonna. I don't know. David Mabama was a real talent in the under 18s, and then he went at 18 into the under 21s and did fantastic last season.
Fantastic
in the under 21s. So he stepped up again. But that still don't mean he's going to convert that into. And if you look at it, strikers, how many strikers have West Ham brought through from a youth academy? Actually, look at how many strikers there are in the Premier League that went through a Premier League academy. Because
Not
when
that
you
many.
look at our team, when you look at our English-based players now, so if you bring that squad up and you look and you go, Creswell, well, he started out in Tranmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Bowen, Hereford,
Mm-hmm.
Antonio, fouled at Crystal Palace and dropped into two in the Mitcham. None of them were at Premier League academies.
Yeah, you're right.
I think Creswell may have been at Tranmere. I don't know if when they went non-league, but it may have been when they came back. But they were Division 2 team. Bowen,
Danny Ings, did he start?
Danny Ings, was he not? I don't know where he did his academy
I
actually.
don't think it was Southampton, was it? I think there's a team before that.
Was he not? I know he went to Burnley, didn't it? So I don't know.
Yeah.
He may have been, but was he not at Southampton's academy when they dropped into? Didn't he break through when they were in the third tier?
I'm not sure. I can't honestly remember. I'm not sure, but it might have been. It might have
So
been.
that's.
But your
I mean,
point really is
when you
that
look at that, that's the four English British players in our squad, and none of them came through a Premier League academy. So
and none of them have come through our own academy, have they? I mean,
this is the thing, Moyes faced criticism, heavy criticism, for his lack of bringing through kids or taking a chance on kids, even when we had injuries, even when we had games where we were doing well and he could have brought them on, he didn't. Though there's a great stat where Moyes actually gave debuts to about 24 kids. So you got this thing going, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. And then he can go, oh yeah, I gave debuts. But of course, when you bear down on that, 7 were in one game against Dinamo Zagreb, one we'd won the group.
Yeah.
And those kids did fantastic, only lost 1-0 against Zagreb.
Yeah.
So, it depends, we know you can pick apart anything.
Yeah.
But the problem we got is, especially with a club, I think it's more on West Ham because we gave ourselves this tag, the Academy of Football, and what it's supposed to mean. And if we're not bringing kids through into the first team, if we're not showing them there is a viable path. I think only 2 or 3 years ago, while Noble was playing, there was a few games where we had 4 or 5 players that have been in our academy playing first team football. That's all gone now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a crop out there. I mean, Hammerit just put, disappointed that Earthy's been loaned out. There's a crop. The Callum Marshall, he's already a Northern Ireland full international.
Yeah.
George Earthy, I know he's injured at the moment, but he played a bit of game time last season. Freddie Potts, who had a superb, such a good season at Wickham. They named him their player of the season. Out on loan. So there's a crop of them. There's a crop of them that.
I mean,
I'm hoping what's happening is with Lopetegui is he's stabilising the team this season. He wants to get us back into Europe straight away, etc. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But by doing that,
I'm part of a group now called Vintage Hammers,
right?
And it meets the first Wednesday of every month in Hornchurch. And the Lou that organises it as generally 2 ex-players come. So I think we've had 4 or 5. I wasn't at the first one, but I've been at every one. I'll do a little history spiel for half hour before. So this week we met, and the first guest was Kenny Brown. So obviously Kenny played for West Ham, so did his dad. But obviously Kenny is now director of the academy at West Ham. So he's the Tony Carr now of West Ham. And, I suppose he has to be guarded about what he can and say and what he can't say. And even in a little event like that, you know, it didn't want to name names because it is harsh, because it may leak out onto Twitter or whatever. Oh, the head of academy says this about them or that about them. That's good. Put Ings at Bournemouth. So if you look at
Didn't know that.
when Ings started, that was when Bournemouth would have been lower league.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So you know, but Skulls is definitely one. I think Orford and Casey, the centre back. You know, this is the three he spoke about. Yes, they're sending players out on loan. You know, we need to see how they can stand up. Callum Marshall. I mean, Callum Marshall, from what I've seen of him, could be one. I think he's only 17, 18. You know, he's gone to Huddersfield. I think he scored 2 goals in 4 games.
He scored 2 already, yeah.
Right, so
yeah.
he's got 2 already. When he made his debut for Northern Ireland at the age of 17, I believe, he's come onto the pitch with 2 minutes to go and scored a fantastic goal.
He did indeed.
It was disallowed, by VAR. And it wasn't nothing that he had done for a start. It was harsh. But the fact that he did what he did there on that big stage, for me, was like, yeah, this kid could be the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, I think, for me, Marshall. I loved Gideon Kadua, to be fair, more than Mabama in the youth team. I know you was at the youth final as well, and
I like him.
I'd seen a couple of other the youth games, and I thought Kadua was equally as good as Mabama.
Yeah, for me, Kadua doesn't get the limelight in the same way as Earthy does and Marshall, but he's one of those quiet players where you just look at him and you go, there's a really decent player there. Yeah. You know, he was the captain of the under-18s, as we know when we went to the final. Captain the under-18s, and I think for a short while he captained the under-21s. I could be wrong. Wrong.
No, he did. He was definitely, Kadua was captain. And John now makes a good comment. Youngsters have to go out on loan because there's no reserve football to tough them up. You listen to the old pros. I think last week we had Jeff Pike. Last month at Vintage Hammers we had Jeff Pike. And it's something he said, you know, at the age of 15, and there's a couple of things here. Is that I know football's changed and everything, but back in their day, when we had one training camp, the youths would train next to the first team. So 1, you can look over, you can see your progression. Mm-hmm. 2, if there was a few injuries, the first team manager would look over to the youth pitch and go to the youth coach, I need the centre half and I need the midfielder. Now they're training with the first team players. The manager goes, oh, he's done well, hasn't he? Right, let's get him in the reserves, see what he can do. At the age of 15, Jeff Pike's playing reserve football with Bobby Moore.
And there's your learning curve, isn't there?
And that's the thing. Yeah. But not only is he playing with these players, he's then playing up against the players that are coming back from injury on the opposition teams that could be like, you know, your Norman Hunters and your whatever.
What's the point of the under-21s and the under-18s league? I mean, it's not a moneymaker. Why would the league have brought that in rather than just that allowing to have what it was in the past?
But the under-21 bit I thought was an anomaly, and I don't know if that was because obviously international football had youths, under-21s. I think they had under-23s as well, and then Bs and then As. But youth football at club level was youth, reserve, first team. You played youth till you was 18, and then the club either signed you up or let you go. So, and whether it was because there was a lot of players falling through the cracks that were, you would get players that were late developers. Antonio, for one, let go by Palace, has to go into non-league football, works his way back. And maybe it was to pick up those kids that fall through the cracks at that point and give them that chance to late develop while still at a professional football club. I don't know. But what it leads to kids playing football against kids. So you can't judge how good they are. when they're
And
playing
this is the mistake we're making. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way to West Ham, to fans of, the academy, those who watch the academy, etc. But this is the mistake we're making, isn't it? We're seeing them doing fantastically well against other under 21s, and we're going, fuck me, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
And then when they do start playing against, I don't want to call it proper foot, but against the senior players, they're miles away, aren't they? At times,
Yeah.
you've got to be a really, really special talent to be able to walk in, a bit like Declan Rice. You walk into a first team, but even he found it difficult at first. But you've got to be a special talent to be able to adapt.
But if you go back, and this is the thing, like football's different. People, there'd always be people saying, football's different. Yes, I know football's different. But if you look back, what would happen is that, we would bring through players as a group. In 1964, I think, was it 8 of those players were academy players? 8 of the 11. In the 70s, over half the team was academy players. So even in the 80s, we still had players that had come through our academy. The two of them were elder statesmen, Lampard and Brooking, but you had Paul Brush there. In 80 when we won the cup, you had Jeff Pike, Paul Allen. So again, but if you can bring these players through as a group, and this is what people miss internationally and what England's actually picked up on. The Germans were great at it. Germans would get a great under-21 team. And they would be promoted as a group into the national team. And then they would be given the time to grow.
Last time domestically, unless you think it's been done since, is the obvious, is Man United under Ferguson.
Yeah.
When he had a crop of players that came through all together. And that, I don't want to call that an anomaly, but to have so much talent at any one time in your academy and pull them through is rare, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not a Man United podcast.
No,
but what people don't realise is this 1992 crop that came through was born out of what Fergie found at Man United when he walked in 1986. And this may explain why he was given the 4 years of winning nothing, until the FA Cup in 1990, was that when he walked in, he had hardly any scouting network or anything of note. So what he then was, he divvied up Manchester, and he had Brian Cleard at the club, who's an ex, he wasn't a Busby babe because that was the 50s, but he was the next lot that came through just below George Best. But he came through in the Busby era of Manchester United Academy, and turned around and went to him, right, what do? We need to get the scouts out. And he was part of the youth setup, then Brian Kidd. And then they set up this scouting network to bring in the best kids in Manchester. So the only kid actually, you think out of that group of kids that Man brought, it was only Beckham that didn't come from Manchester. But he was a Man United fan, and he'd gone to the Bobby Charlton school. Bobby Charlton, the director of Man United, and he'd been to the Bobby Charlton school and everything else. So those kids, but Scholes was from Oldham, the Nevilles are from Bury, Nicky Butt, Giggs was from Salford, so what? And all that work was done in the late 80s. So it took time, and because Fergie was afforded that time, he built one team that won in the title, but he knew he had these kids. He knew how fantastic these kids were because they were tearing up the youth league and everything.
Can that not happen at a club like West Ham then? I mean, that goes back to the question about our current crop. We've named at least half a dozen already. Freddie Potts, and you've said Scholes, in the thing that you've had on the Monday night that you go to. Scholes has been mentioned, Casey's been mentioned, several others, and we've said about Codwell and so. I mean, but this is the thing, isn't it? Now, you've just said it yourself. Football's changed.
Well,
you don't take that risk. You're not able to take that gamble anymore, are you?
Imagine these kids were coming through now. So imagine the Nevilles, Giggs, Butt, Scholes, Beckham, Robbie Savage was there.
Yeah.
Imagine these kids were coming through now. What would happen? What would
I don't
Man
think it's
United
likely
do?
that they'd be a team.
No, they would sell them for PSR
Or there was
reasons.
some. There you go.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So going back to us then, I mean, I'm going to ask you again about, you know, we've said that Guilherme is not likely to play. What about the man next to him? What do you make of this whole Andy Irving thing? Because he was one of the first people we all thought was going to be sold. And I remember asking Sean, I said, Irving, he went, yeah, we've only bought him as a feeder. It's a feeder club and he's not going to be there. But look, he survived the test of time. He's gotten through the transfer window and he's still at West Ham. I mean, is there money to be made out of Andy Irving? I mean, apparently Celtic were in for him and a few other clubs, etc. What's the thinking behind? What's the thinking behind these two players, Guilherme and Irving?
I don't know a lot about it. I must admit, I don't know a lot about Andy Irving. We
I don't
signed
think
him.
many people
We
do.
loaned him out to this Austrian team, was it?
Yeah, he was at Klagenfurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then he does well there, doesn't he?
He did really well there.
So
he did all right.
So then he comes back, still not played any first team football, but I mean, I've seen him score. Didn't he score in the 2-2 draw against Ferencváros, I think, and it was an absolute perler.
I can't remember what game it was, but he did score a superb goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So so you think, well, there's a talent there, but it's being overshadowed by possibly other signings. I don't know, but it's funny, I know you can't judge it against Dagenham, and that's just a game for fitness, isn't it? That's a fitness game.
Of course it is. Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, he has scored twice, isn't it? So he has found the net. I've not seen the goal, so I don't know how difficult they were or whatever. So, but there's obviously a player there. And if Celtic could look at him, I think, I would love him to be given a chance. I would hate for him to leave without seeing how good he is.
Yeah. And does the same go for Guilherme? What do you make of that signing? Because he was our first signing of the summer.
Yeah, it is a funny thing that I think is that for years, and this might be why we're looking down the continental route, is for years and years, the Brazilian kids have been hoovered up by the leagues of Europe.
They have, yeah.
But not the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the Dutch teams were great at it. Look at the original Ronaldo was playing in Holland, I think Eindhoven.
Somewhere, PSV, yeah.
So I think Bobby Robson was his manager though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you had before he goes to Barcelona. So he's at Eindhoven. Obviously a natural one is the Portuguese league for these kids to go to because the language is similar. So, but then you have them in the Dutch league, you have them in the Spanish league. You see them pop up in the German league,
and in the Italian league as well.
Yeah, and then they'll sign these kids at 18, sell them at 21 for like 40, 50 million.
Yeah,
when they've played really well, and you think, well, how are these clubs scouting these players and we're not? So, Guilherme, who did he play for? Was it weren't Fluminense? Was it
Palmeiras?
Palmeiras, that's it.
Yeah.
So, he's playing first team football at Palmeiras.
Well, no,
was he?
Well, he was, but he was coming on more as a sub than he was as a first team starter. But yeah, he was. He was. He was there, and he was getting a lot of game time, but not always starting, which is the other confusing thing. That why. Look, I don't doubt. I bet he's a talent, but the confusing thing is we paid. I get the whole thing about buying buying players, young players, etc. But aren't you meant to buy them for about 10, 15 million and then sell them for 50 rather than buying them for 25 million and hoping that they're going to turn out all right?
Well, yes. So that's, until I see him play, it's very hard for me.
Yeah.
To we've had Brazilians come and do very well in the Premier League. Not many though, yeah. But we've had Brazilians that have come over and have not done very well.
Well, look at what Usual said. Apparently, Guilherme at the age of 14 was spoken about as the new Pele in Brazil.
Yeah, well, Pele didn't play for West Ham. Yeah,
could have done if he'd listened to Bobby Moore.
well, maybe, but we'd have bought him when he was 45. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if Guilherme was the new Pele, it'd be at Barca, it'd be at Real, it'd be Man City, it'd be man, he wouldn't be at West Ham.
Yeah, well, honestly, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, just maybe, with us wanting 2 players for each part of the team, maybe we'll see 1 or 2 of these players playing against Liverpool. I mean, shall we talk about the corrupt cup for a few seconds?
Yeah,
because it is fucking outrageous, isn't it?
Oh dear. Well, the only good news is we get to stay in the competition 1 week longer now because they've moved the game for another week.
Should we get John on? So we can.
John, but you should get him on, but he's probably got a Brazilian on his chin that he calls a beard. Well,
I mean, he's earning a
get him on and just ignore him.
Shall we do that? I'll put him in the background.
So, it's. I don't know. Really, I'm at a loss sometimes. I am.
Sorry, I got distracted. I haven't got John's number. I thought I had John's number. I haven't got his number. John, I haven't got your number.
I could give it to you, but I can't reach my phone.
Oh, well, I wouldn't. Don't bother then. I think he's got my number, so you can message me if he wants to come on. Sorry, I got distracted. That's my fault. Who else have we got to talk about? So we're talking about our strikers. Okay, I'll tell you who I'm going to go on. I'm going to talk about, and there is a lot of talk at the moment about these 2 players and what position they should be playing. Now, you've seen the game so far, and we've seen what Kudus is like out on the right, but we've got two of the best right-sided attacking players in the Premier League, haven't we? With Kudus and with Bowen, and they both can't play up on the right side. So, what's your feelings about Kudus?
Well, I thought when you say 2 right-sided, because is Kudus not right-footed and Bowen left-footed?
No, they're both left-footed. Yeah,
because obviously I'd always wanted 2 inverted wingers, didn't he?
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. Is that I'm surprised we never tried Kudus through the middle.
That's why what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
that opens the door.
One of them should play in the middle.
Somerville and for Bowen. Look, Bowen's the right winger. He has to be. That's it. End of. No one should take his place. Though last year Bowen played through the middle and scored a lot of goals. It's. I'm just going to ignore him now. Bowen could be the one down the middle because he did play there a lot last season.
My thinking is exactly that. My thinking is people are talking about the 3 strikers that we've currently got, a bit past it, don't have pace, or like Antonio's got pace, but his first touch is just it ain't that of a striker.
I think the one to make way, actually, if you take the front 4, I think the one that makes way there for me is Paquetá.
Yeah, I agree, and I've got look.
Oh, yeah, you already teed it up. Paquetá concerns. See,
Paquetá, because I think it is a concern, and I think the reason why we've gone out and brought in Carlos Soler, I've said it in a couple of shows before. I think if there's a danger, it's Paquetá's position.
Yeah. and not
But
just because of the betting. I just think.
Do you really think that is what's behind all this? That he's got that on his mind? I mean, we don't know what's going on, do we?
Look, I think there's a lot to it. Was there not another embrace with Pep this weekend?
Fuck me, was there? Surprised they didn't have their fucking tongues down each other's throat. It's like
you know, when he did it the first time, I thought, are you having a laugh? Yeah. And now I think you're taking the piss, mate.
It's fucking working.
Yeah. He was working last night, and then he had to drop the phone. The old Bill pulled him over, making sure he's really from Romford. That's what they were doing. They were having a check because apparently there's some cab drivers that don't come from Romford in London, apparently. But luckily, John had his Romford passport with him, and they were like, "Okay, yes,
Romford passport.
That's it." Because every cab driver comes from Romford now. So.
So yeah, go on. I mean, yeah, the embrace. It happened. It's interesting because when it happened the first time, everyone lost their heads over it. But when it happened the other day,
I think it's worse now. Yeah, because in a way, sometimes you think you can go, oh, you know, Pep's a legend of the club, of football, for whatever. Paquetá, outstanding player, and it's almost like a public tap up, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a public tap up.
Of course it was. Yeah.
So the first one, you go, all right, yeah. The second one, after, you know, surely he's known what the reaction's been to the first one. To do it again now, that's like, fuck.
Do you know, I actually saw it and I didn't even flinch, to be honest with you. I kind of went, oh, we know. I actually do honestly think that Man City have given up the ghost on Paquetá anyway. And I actually think, especially after, was it Guardiola who did the interview the other day and said, "Oh, the toughest player we played against was Kudus." Yeah. I think Pep's got his fucking eye on Kudus now.
Possibly.
You know, for next season.
Because he was fantastic, Kudus, wasn't he, in that last game of the season, to be fair.
Yeah, he was superb. The overhead kick and all that.
He was, you know, there was a moment where it looked like we could have got it to 2-2.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could see that happening. And this is the other thing about West Ham, maybe, that where they have got an eye on, is that they realise some of our better players are ripe for selling. Maybe that is the thing. Though actually, they've actually brought in their replacements already.
Yeah, there is the talk about, you know, given that we've got Soler and when we've got Todibo on loan to buy, and they're going to cost us between the two maybe 60-70 million pound for the two. I mean, we're going to have to find that money somewhere. Yes. And I mean, I know people don't like hearing it, but I'm pretty much convinced. It depends on how we do this season, but I'm pretty much convinced that Kudus will be the player that we're selling next summer. And I know people don't like hearing it, but I think I make you right in terms of the players that we brought in this summer are already prepared to be replacing a player like Kudus next summer. There's a good reason why we got two right-sided
the thing is,
wingers.
We've just had 3 out of 4 seasons finishing top 10. That's a rarity in West Ham's entire history. 124 years. 124 years, people. You just bear that in mind. So that's a rarity in its begin. And then you had the throw in 3 years of European football, never been done at the club. Throw in a trophy, which is the first we've won in 2 generations, not one. You know, anyone under the age of 47 would have been lucky to remember us winning a trophy. So, you know, there was that reason that the expectations are high, and therefore there's this expectation now and what we're going to achieve, especially with all these signings. But it's quite funny how we look at it and think, even I've said, this possibly is the best squad. I don't think the best 11, yeah, but this is the best squad that we've had in the Premier League era. Because he has actually got good players in every position.
He does, and that does raise expectation, doesn't it? So,
but that don't mean we're going to finish top 6 or top 8.
Right. Well, I was just about to ask you, given the squad that we've got, and given Lopetegui wanting to have 2 players for every position and so on and so forth, and I suggested that I think when every single player is up to match fitness, when we got Soler and Somerville and Todibo, all these players, when they're fully up to match fitness, would you be surprised? I suggested it the other night when I did a show. I suggested that we might start seeing rotation, and fans have got to get this right. It ain't players being dropped. Lopetegui could easily rotate this team on a regular basis. You might see, no strikers being picked and Kudus in the middle.
Yeah.
Or you might see Somerville playing and Kudus out on the right, and I don't know, Paquetá dropped and stuff like that. Would that surprise you? Because what he wants 22 quality players, doesn't he? And we're nearly there. We're
nearly there. But are they a team to challenge? Yourself. You've travelled around Europe for the past 3 years watching West Ham, something you hadn't ever done probably. You get a taste for it, don't you?
You do. You do.
You get a taste for the football. You get a taste for the beer. You get a taste for other things, Dodds. So
he ain't heard that.
Yeah, he's asleep. Yeah, he's got his knee up. So anyway, that's me.
I have heard the rumours, but anyway,
they are not. Yeah, so I'd like to see Nigel talking West Hamish on the beer and stuff. No,
he's over on the other side. Oh! Is that the? Oh, that's the channel he's talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
hold that thought. So and people want that to continue, but to do that, you got to finish top 6 or 7.
So
it's difficult because the thing about people look at that squad and go, "That's a fantastic team. We should be challenging. We should be top 6, challenging top 4 with that team."
Yeah, but every other team
and what that ignores is what the other 7, 8 teams that are also challenging have also done.
Yeah.
So
my gut this season tells me that there are 2 teams that may not make the top 6 this season. And I ain't against, because we all don't like Spurs, but I'm going to say Spurs and Chelsea are not going to be there, which gives us that chance. I reckon Aston Villa will stay in the top 6.
I don't know. The funny thing is, people said, Chelsea ain't, after Christmas, Chelsea looked like they were struggling against to stay up. They could drop. They were nearer the relegation. They were nearer Europe. All of a sudden, with Pep though, and I think that's the not Pep, sorry, with Poch.
Pochettino.
I think that's the difference. Yeah,
he did make the difference.
He finally got the grips with them, and they became a fantastic team playing great football.
I'm really surprised they let him go.
Yeah, I can't believe. I just think it shows up actually how the club is run under Bowley. So the what they call, is it Blackstone? Is it Bowley's thing? They're the people that that run that club, and they're the people that buy the players and whatever. So, but then they could come again. I mean, they must have such a fantastic squad. I don't know. They've left Palmer out of the Champions League setup.
Did they?
That's what I got told today. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, Palmer's not going to be playing Champions League football.
You are kidding me.
No, double check that. I'm sure people and can double check that.
Bloody hell.
So
that's how confident Maresca is then, is he?
well, the thing, and the funny thing is, not Chelsea podcast, there's not a lot, but
Talked about Chelsea and Man United.
yeah, but Maresca, you know, people criticise him, but he's actually right. He walks into Chelsea, he sees 45 players and says, "No, I want 21." And people scream about, "Oh, it's disgraceful the way he treated him." But what he did was he picked his 21 and said to the others, "These are my 21. You can leave. You're great players." He didn't belittle them. He didn't do anything. He said, "I've picked my 21." And that's what a manager's got to do. There you go. Palmer hasn't been included in the European squad.
Wow.
In the Conference League. That's right. Sorry. I mean, it'll be interesting, really. And this is the thing. The longer the Conference League goes on with the English clubs that are in it, it'll be interesting to see how they take it and what they do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, I agree with you, and I said it almost simultaneously to you that other teams around us, we live in our bubble when we think, oh, we've done so fucking well, and we have done well in the transfer window. It is a really good squad. It is a really talented squad, and I think it was Bill has mentioned a few times in comments that what he's worried about is we do have two players for every position, but they're not the same, and I think that worries Bill when he mentions that. But for me, I think the reverse. I think that's not a bad thing. You know, if we've got two players in every position who are different, it means that you're changing the style of play when you need to. You can change formation. What are the criticisms that fans had of David Moyes over the past?
One-dimensional.
Too one-dimensional, exactly. And now, if you've got players that can bring on, like Soler and Paquetá, play in the same position but play very differently. You know, in that same position, and you know, our three strikers, you can't say that any of them are the same. You've got two players out wide in Bowen and Kudus who do fantastically well, but they play the game completely differently. You know, so that's not a bad thing, is it? It's not a bad thing having players in two players in each position, but they bring you something completely different. Because that means you can change.
I thought that was the idea of it.
Yeah.
The idea is, you know, the thing with Moyes is that while he changed the personnel, it never changed the way it played.
Yeah.
But the idea is that if you're bringing on 3 or 4 subs, it's because something's gone wrong in the game. So you need to change. So actually, yes, you have 2 people there, 2 players for every position. But it's actually is better that there will be some that are totally different to that. So when they come in, it will be different. Wants to make a change, right? Somerville, you're on. Whoever's playing left. The thing I like about Lopetegui, or whatever, is he's not afraid to bring off a name.
Yeah. And I don't mind that.
He will take off anyone. You're not cutting the mustard.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think we need that, don't we?
Do you know what? I'm sorry, I'm too old, because there's a bit of me that thinks there's a lot of players that done nothing all game, popped up in the 89th minute and scored a goal. Yeah.
Suchek. Who?
So, well, but there are a lot of players that pop up late and get goals and whatever. And if you'd have hauled them off because they weren't cutting it, then they've not, you know. I personally, I think actually a 25 player squad's too big. I think you should have 20.
Look,
you don't need 3 goalkeepers for a start.
No, you don't. I mean, and you're never going to get, you know. It's interesting what he did in the cup game where he put he put Fabianski on in goal, and he actually had Foderingham as the backup rather than Areola. But I think that may have been more because when did Areola pick up his injury? Was that before Bournemouth or
no, it was after? Time, wasn't it?
After, it's after.
After
no,
time.
That it was the game after that. It's against Man City.
Man City went off injured. I mean, you look at the thing that I look at that, and I look at that and think, as I know we've covered it earlier, but when you see it like that, what you see is a team that looks good enough in with 5 different ways of players
Yeah,
combinations, but also then therefore that will stifle youth.
it will. Yeah,
So
it will.
you know, and it goes back maybe to that Liverpool fans tweet that we started with about what do you want?
Yeah,
Are you happy as a West Ham fan to be West Ham of old, some good seasons, some bad seasons, but you're bringing through youth and you're playing a better brand of football than what Moyes finished his career with? Or do you want to be this machine that goes out and challenges for top 6 and then does whatever it can? Because this ownership can't make West Ham challenge for top 6.
yeah,
Yeah. So what would need to be is we'd need big billionaires. You would need Kretinsky to actually be interested in West Ham properly as an owner, and you'd need a couple of other billionaires to come in and sort it out. So,
yeah,
because if you look at the people that are challenging the top 4, so if you go top 4, it's going to be, there's the odd 1 or 2 now that have gone for it, but they're backed by money people, aren't they? Villa are backed by money people.
yeah. They sure are. Yeah.
You know,
And then what they've got actually, they've got Monchi, who is their director of football, who used to be the director of football at Seville when Lopetegui was there. He fucking knows his stuff. You know, the squad that he's built over the last couple of years, he knows how to do. You know, I mean, yeah, it's really funny because when I look at the way Monchi's been working for Aston Villa over the last couple of seasons, and then I look at Steidten, it's almost like, is Steidten going to be as good as Monchi over the next few years in order to be able to be as effective as Monchi has been? Because he's made a huge difference to Aston Villa, you know, in the way that he's brought that squad together. But it's interesting. Monchi's done
Villa
it
now though are paying the Villa fans though. Yeah,
they're paying the price.
Are paying, exactly. So this is the thing. But Villa are owned by Americans, are they not? Now, I
Yes,
don't know
they
if
are.
Villa's owners own. Do they own other franchise? Do they own franchises in America?
I would probably think they do, but I can't say for sure.
No, I don't know for sure. Because, and this is the thing, what you see is this ticketing model is about, if you look at American and how much people pay for American sports. For
Yeah, they
ticket
don't
prices.
really. They will just pay it, won't they?
Yeah.
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 Quick thing on Luizao. The reason why I put Luizao in there is, and I don't know if you know this or not. I think it was Gio that said it in a show that he did. Apparently, if you don't have a full 25-man squad, now Luizao is 22 years old and he's still playing in the under 21s. And apparently, if you don't have a full 25-man squad, you have to name Luizao into the 25-man squad. I don't know if you know the rules or not, because he's still playing for the under 21s. Is it up to 3 players you can have that are over 21 that you can play in the under 21s?
Yeah, but I thought this was all about homegrown players, and I don't know. Does he count as an homegrown player? Because to be
No,
homegrown player, you got to
not
play.
yet. He's only been with us a couple of years.
No, but he would have had to have joined us before his 18th birthday, I believe.
I'll have to check when he did.
So,
because I don't. But we've got enough homegrown here because
no, and
apparently
that's the thing, because normally you can have up to 25, and then you can have unlimited, I thought, academy players given first team numbers.
Yeah, because you don't have to name them. You got to name 8 homegrown players in the 25, but we don't have 25 at the moment. And even with Luzal, and even if we sign Egan, we'll only be up to 24. So I'm confused by that. But people, that's why Luizal's face is on there, because I think Gio said that he would have to be named as one of the 25-man squad or whatever. All right. We talked about Paquetá, Irving, Guilherme, Bowen, Kudus, and our dynamic 3 up front. Are any of these three players going to score more than 10 goals this season?
No. No.
Not even Fulkrug?
No.
Fuck. So that
Right,
means
we've scored 4 goals this season so far.
so far.
Yeah. How many of them 3 scored?
None.
What's your answer then?
But then we didn't rely on our strikers last season either, did we? We were relying on
Well,
Bowen.
technically, Bowen played as a striker.
Technically, he did. Yeah. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot to finish up then. Where are we finishing in the league?
I think we'll finish same as last season. I can see us finishing 9th, 10th. The thing about it is, I always look at that middle. If you look at that middle group, and you can have 4 teams separated by 4 points. Goal difference can play a big part.
So you don't think any better than 9th or 10th?
No, I don't. No. And here's a thing. So if you look at, I did it. Those that listen on the podcast will heard me say it, and I'll say it here. Is that what the difference is? Take the Man City game. Now, as luck would have it, we lost both Man City games last season 3-1.
Yeah.
So now we've lost 3 games on the trot against City 3-1. So Lopetegui's football has got the same result as what Moyes' football that many people criticise for. At the end of the day, it's the same result. What's the difference? We had more shots Saturday against Man City than we did in the 2 games combined.
Yeah, we did.
With, on average, the same amount of possession. So what it looks like is we're doing more attacking with the small amount of the ball that we had against that City than we did in those games. And there is the difference. And I think there lies in why the Man City game 3-1 defeats were not greeted, were whatever Moyes was criticised, while no one was really too disappointed. People were more upbeat after that 3-1 defeat than they were after the 3-1 defeats last season, because of the way we played football, that actually when we were 2-1 down, you thought, ooh, we're in a chance here of getting a point. This could be a shock, before they popped up with the 3rd. The difference between this season and last season is, I think Ireland only got a couple of goals there. No.
He made the difference, didn't he? He's a he's a proper.
So therefore, what I'm saying is that Lopetegui, even finishing 9th, I think people will actually be so much more accepting of the way we play
because of the
finishing
style
9th.
of
Yeah.
All right, cup run.
Yeah. Well, that's over.
When we beat Liverpool.
Well, if Liverpool,
we didn't talk about it. We were.
No,
we didn't talk about
if
it.
Liverpool could put out their reserve team.
Well, they got 5 games in 15 days. Fuck me.
That's it.
My
so the chances are,
for them.
Yeah, and this may be a great time to play Liverpool. We could do them on penalties.
I fucking hope so. I'm going. Are you going?
Yeah.
I know it's a midweek.
Well, I'm not working that week.
Oh, go on.
My wife's asleep.
We'll see you up there.
So,
Come on,
I've spoke about going, but then what happened?
Look, I'll tell you the hotel we're staying. I'll message you the hotel we're staying.
Well, I wouldn't stay up there, but it turns out now, my mum rang me up and said, "Oh, I've got a funeral."
Oh, okay.
So I actually said to Mum, "Well, I'll either take you or I'll be in Liverpool." so I'll make my mind up Sunday when I go and see my mum.
All right.
So it looks like I'll be at a funeral.
Oh, what a shame.
But because when they moved it, because I was contemplating going, and because the company owe me for last year's Liverpool game, because I had a ticket and ended up working till 4:00 in the morning in the rain in Swansea, listening to the Liverpool game on the radio. So they owed me for that. So I thought, well, that's it. I'll cash that in. I'll take that and say, right, I'm going to Liverpool now this week. And then they moved it to my week off. I thought, hey, here we go. Don't even have to have an argument at work. I'm near.
Well, it'd be good to see you up there.
I'll be at Fulham.
because it's nearly 6,000, nearly
Yeah.
6,000 tickets, and that'd be quite an atmosphere for a Wednesday night up there.
Yes. No. I'm one of the 2,800 that have seen us win at Anfield. So, because I
About
think
fucking time again, isn't it?
that's about all that's alive.
About time again.
There's probably so. I mean, the laws of averages is that some of that 2,800 that were there 10 years ago have died. So we're probably down to more 2,000.
Well, I hope, because I didn't go. The last time we won up there was 2015, and I didn't go to that game.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we're going to get a result this time round.
Yeah.
And I hear, is it right that they're going to do the same thing for the FA Cup, or the same kind of draw?
I hope not. I mean, the thing I don't understand is that all right, these teams have got to play 8 games now. Every team in Europe's got to play 8 games instead of 6 in the knockout or in the league stage, whatever you want to call it. So in the league stages of all competition, they're all playing 8 games, right? So now they don't play in the second round anyway of the League Cup. They go straight in the third round. Oh, to help them out, we'll give them or the 6 of the best 8 European teams will get guaranteed home draws, so they can't be drawn against them other 6 teams. So in a way, it's a form of seeding. But the thing I don't get about it is that these clubs have all been playing in Europe for years and years. And when you look at the last decade of the League Cup, maybe more, I think the last team outside, this is from, I think, was Birmingham City in 2010-11. I think it was 2010 to win the League Cup when they beat Arsenal. Other than that, it's been the usual mob. So they've managed to play in Europe and win the League Cup without this assistance. So why the fuck did they need that?
It is. It's outrageous, and it is also outrageous at the fact that they did the draw before it was televised about who was playing at home and who was playing away. And it smacks of. It is.
The thing about a cup competition,
well, it's no longer. Do you remember?
It's supposed to be a fair and equal chance.
Do you remember a few years back, Man United withdrew from?
1999, the FA Cup.
Was it the FA Cup they withdrew? Cup. The fucking outcry.
Yes.
They're treating it like that. It's disrespectful, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Well, fuck me. The whole competition is now, fucked over because.
I don't know if it's a way, of clubs like us. We want to win the League Cup. Yeah. I actually, when you look at it, if this is, now we're not in the Conference League. This is actually the easiest cup West Ham can win, because generally the big clubs don't take it easy.
Well, I mean, not Chris's comment here. It apparently it's to help out the big teams, but giving them an easy draw increases the chance of them playing more games.
Exactly, and that it's I don't get it, and that's the thing. Their reasoning for it don't add up.
Yeah.
It just don't add up, and I don't how it ever change it. Football's, I don't know, in this country. There's so much wrong now. There's so much wrong in the governance of football, in this country, and actually, and this is where and then you get people now. This will come back up about bringing in this football czar, overseer, like Ofwat, whatever. But a lot of these things, so if they repeat what they've just done in this draw, but say we had the football governing blokes, the government quango, they wouldn't be able to go, nah, you can't do that because that's out of their jurisdiction. Everything that's wrong with it actually falls down. Would this government quango bloke be able to go to Aston Villa? You can't charge them prices.
Yeah.
No, he won't. Yeah. And so, so therefore I look at that and think, well, what's the point of it then?
Yeah. I mean, unless there's no teeth, it's unless this, this czar doesn't have any sort of bite, there's no point in having him at all.
The thing is, Peter in Chelsea says whole of football is corrupt.
Yeah.
Now, years ago, I'd go, oh, you know, the man's mad. You know,
Yeah.
he's a conspiracy theorist. I'm actually now with, you know, I'm actually going down the road
You're agreeing.
where I'm agreeing and thinking,
Yeah.
do you know what? This does smack of I don't know what the word.
Favoritism, a
Yes,
little bit. Yeah.
and you can see now what's happening is that the Premier League owners are working together. You know, as a consortium or whatever, where they're going. If we all do this, no one can complain.
Yeah. They'll bow down to the pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. So if they all stick together, and as I said, 19 out of 20, I think Premier League clubs put their prices up this year, and this is why I think actually. Where it's good the Blackburn protest and the way it is, but actually what needs to be happening is behind the scenes. Football fans need to be brought together and come up with a way. And I think actually the Blackburn protest is easy for every club. You take a balloon into a ground, you blow it up, you bang it, but you make it known publicly what this symbolises. One of the biggest things Man United fans ever did was the green and gold campaign. Yeah, the green and gold campaign. Put a green and gold scarf on. Why was that symbolistic? They were the colours of Little Leaf Railway, who were the forebearers of Manchester United Football Club. And what it showed is a distrust. Me, if I was running the campaign, I'd be looking at getting black T-shirts, black scarves, black hats, all with a West Ham crest on them, and say, right, if you want to show your distrust for the ownership, wear a black scarf, wear a black shirt. You still got a West Ham thing on it or whatever, but wear a black one, and that becomes the symbolism is we're supporting the team and not the regime.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. We'll cut off on that because we've done an hour and 42 minutes.
I've only just started.
And it is now Saturday morning.
Is it really?
Now, right. Golden question. We've talked about doing this regularly and we end up not. And I know you're busy, and I know there's loads of other things happening.
I'm not very busy normally on a Friday night at 10 o'clock though. Still,
right. That means now people have heard that they think we're going to be on every fucking Friday.
Not every week. No,
exactly.
We will look for every other week though. We did say
we did. So there you go, people. There's the commitment. Every other week, or every other third week, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been good. Been good. Good to have you back on.
We ain't done the supporters club yet still.
Oh, fuck me. All right. Before you do that, there's 215 people watching. So if you've not become a subscriber to this channel, you ought to do so because it's all free. Content's always free. Even Nigel doesn't get a fee for it. So there you go. So do hit the like button and become a subscriber. And now, sorry about that. Go on. Tell people about the supporters club.
This really, I don't know. I mean, I'd imagine a lot of people watching, to be fair, are in Australia or America or Hong Kong or Asia or wherever. So you're not going to be members of the West Ham United Supporters Club. But basically, the West Ham United Supporters Club was the social club that had its building in Castle Street, opposite the Bobby Moore stand and the West End entrances. I'd say it's a famous building, but it was only opened, I think, in 1973. But the Supporters Club has been in existence since the 1940s, I believe. And believe it or not, they used to raise funds to help the club buy players.
Yeah.
So back in the early days. So anyway, I've been a member of this club off and on since the 1990s. I mean, when I was young, it was for the old boys. Yeah, that's how I perceived it. The old boys would go and have a drink, and then I was probably mid to late 20s when I first got my membership in there. But I used to go in there as a kid. I'd be taken in there by family members, and family members would have weddings in there. So the reception would be held in there. So anyway, it's a well-established, and it's part of West Ham United Football Club. A few years ago, after the move, the club had troubles. The building had needed to be closed because it was health and safety reasons, needed a lot of money doing to it. The committee at the time wanted to shut the club down, because if you shut the club down, then in the constitution, you could sell off the assets of the club, which were about £500,000 at the time, pay your debts, and then those that had been continue membership, I think for so many years, would receive a share of the payout, which for some could have been a good few grand.
Yeah, a couple of grand, yeah.
You know, we a group of people, I was one of them that helped fight it and helped win the battle. So, you know, to the point that when the moment the vote was won, which was on a knife edge, because they tried to, the committee was so desperate to shut it down, they held the vote at the bowling pub, and then a lot of people turned up. They were worried they were going to lose, and gerrymandered it so they would win. But there was a big fuss, and they realised, you know, in their constitution, they couldn't have done what they'd done. They excluded too many people from voting that had turned up to vote. Loads of people turned up to vote and were excluded from voting. So they had to redo it. We won the vote, and as soon as the vote was announced, I was out the door drilling out the locks of the building and changing the locks of the building, and walked back in the pub. The old committee were gone, and you ain't going back in there. So done. Now we forward. Castle Street couldn't be used or whatever. This committee that runs it at the moment relaunched it. I don't like the word relaunch, to be fair, but anyway, it was, some people use the word relaunched it. We were set up. I think Stour Place was the first one still.
Was there one
Stour
before that, or was it Stour?
I think Stour was the first.
Stour was the first, yeah.
Which I quite enjoyed.
It's lovely there.
You know,
it was great there.
Yeah. So we had use of Stour. That then, for whatever reason, we had to go out of there. But then they get the building. We get used to the building upstairs at the last drop. Then we get the downstairs. But, you know, as I've said publicly before, the last year we were in the last drop, I knew, because I could see what had happened. A new owner had come in. He took one look at what we were doing there, and he's like, I don't need you. You know, when you've got the bar that's nearest that stadium, you don't need the supporters club.
No, you don't.
Because you can do it on your own, and you can keep all the money.
Yeah.
And I said that would happen, and that's exactly what happened. Now I think the existing committee sleptwalked into that situation. And bearing in mind, they came up with a tagline, refusing to fade and die, and they ended up where we had no supporters club last year at all. They've done a deal. I've been told it's good. I didn't go to the first game. Two reasons.
One, I went to the first one.
I felt bad that it was only 150 people, and that excluded people I was going with. Because I was a member long enough. They weren't. So one, they were excluded, made it difficult for me. But two, I was also giving out leaflets. I was giving out leaflets and the protest. There's my balloon that I've kept. This one will never be blown up. That will stay in the shed. Part of West Ham's history now. So there's that. There's been no AGM for 2 years. They'd never done nothing. They'd never shown the accounts and everything. What was going on? I was party to things that I'd seen. There was even a possibility that the club that was refusing to fade and die would actually shut up shop, fade and die.
It felt like that at one stage last season,
Now, aside from this, the committee, I felt, communicated badly with its members. I don't know about, I'm not speaking for you still, I'm speaking personally. They communicated badly with members. People that don't know me, I do a podcast. It got to the point where I deliberately criticised them just to see what would happen. And lo and behold, after I criticised them on the podcast, an update from the West Ham Supporters Club email would pop into the email box later that week. So I would draw my conclusions from that. So rather than being proactive, they were reactive. Bearing in mind, none of us were meeting up together. We had no idea what was going on. If they think that's a great way to run a club, and if you think that's a great way to run the club, if you think they've done well there, that's your prerogative. Me, I stand outside and go, whoa, that ain't right. Then what happened is that someone on that committee meets someone I know at a West Ham function, has a go about me to them, saying, well, if he thinks he can do better, why don't he join us? So 2 things there. 1, that's what I'm doing now. The second thing is the man totally then forgets that at the previous election, they closed the book to new people. So I couldn't stand for the committee at the last election because they had closed shop. So they were only keeping who they had. So he was criticising me for doing something that I couldn't do. So that leads me to standing in the election now.
And that's it, folks. I mean, you know, if anyone is a supporters club member, do we all get a vote, Nigel?
As long as you was a member before 2023, and this is the mad thing is, yeah, we had members of the committee going and representing us on a fan group, not updating us on their meetings with the club. They were sending out emails on what was going on in these meetings. We knew what was going on because of Amers United. Yet the supporters club representative was going. He wasn't sending out regular emails. Yeah. He's representing us, not telling us what's going on. But let's face it, he was representing the membership. It didn't even have, because we had nowhere to meet. And technically, we hadn't paid subs. We hadn't renewed our membership. Technically, no one was a member.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole concept of this is those who want to be on the committee are going to be voted for. And Nigel has put himself up. So if anyone is watching this show and is a member, then you can vote for who you want. Look, but
you can see what I say. If you follow me on Twitter, my WC, you can see what I say. If you look at what I say is in my blurb. I don't tell people about me. I say to the people what I will do for you.
Exactly. And that's what it's meant to be about. It's meant to be about those who represent the members. Those who are on the committee are there to represent the members. And you know, you've got my vote, mate.
Yeah.
And,
look,
you know,
there could be one of us. There could be a couple of us on there. I don't know. Listen, some things they've done really well. And you got to say that, you know, I'm not here to just bash.
It's about improving it, isn't it? It's not about knocking it. No, it's about improving it.
And also, we did come close to doomsday. And it's about, hold on a minute, yeah. I didn't do what I did in 2017 and 2018 to be a nomad. And that's the word I have used. We are nomads. We've got no home.
And that's the one thing that's really got to be sorted out. We need a permanent residence where, I mean, of course it's nice to be near the stadium. And I won't lie, the new building is nice.
Yeah.
And it is only literally right next door to where...
listen, the word that I got told was, yeah, you're drinking in the corridor. Now, that's what I've been told, yeah. I will wait till I go.
Yeah.
Though, and this is the thing. I would prefer to go when the members that I'm with can come in with me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not going to criticise those that have gone in there. People had to go in there. All right, there's restricted. From the photographs I've seen, they could probably fit 1,000 in there. So the fact that I only said 150, I get it. But
it's huge. It is huge. The corridor, the foyer is actually behind. It's behind, and the fucking foyer is massive.
You're pushing it up. We call that a corridor, but you can call it a foyer. Yeah, where I come from, that's a corridor.
It's a fucking foyer, and I'm sticking to it.
So, listen, and it is a funny analogy. Yeah. So what we've got is something of West Ham's history. Yeah. And guess what? It's actually shadowed what's happened with the football club, because we've got no control of what that looks like. You know, someone turned around and did say to me, you know, it'd be great, like West Ham a fire, and it would look like the old place. And the photographs I see, you see Dubai Hammers, Philadelphia Hammers. I mean, yeah, it's just like the old place, isn't it? You know, it's
The problem with not owning our own plates, I'm not suggesting we ought to go out and buy a place, but even if we were subletting or whatever it is, is you can have your stuff there permanently rather than it having to be taken down at the end of a game.
yeah,
You know, that's the sad thing about it is the old supporters club. I never went to the old supporters club across the road from the bowling, but it was there all the time. You knew you were walking into the supporters club. It was as it was.
yeah.
Whereas,
The thing is, as well, where I am perhaps bitter, and people may think I am a bit mad, and I can see it. Is that I'm also disgusted at the way that they got rid of that Castle Street, because I thought I was fighting to save Castle Street, and as far as I can see, and I've checked, I can't see anywhere where they gave us a choice of what to do with that building. They decided it's got to go. And bearing in mind, the rent on that weren't a lot of money. Now, yes, it was at Upton Park, but, you know, as X showed with his shows just round the corner, yeah, you could do something. You could do something there. It was a place that we had at home. You could have opened up a restaurant downstairs, had the club for members upstairs, restaurant downstairs, or, you know, during the week. You got 880 new units just been built on your doorstep that might want to go somewhere for a nice drink or a meal. Something could have been done with it that it still could have been kept in our hands, but now it's a gymnasium.
Yeah, and I get the whole point about having somewhere close to the stadium. I understand that bit, but those diehards dedicated wouldn't give a fuck where they're going to have a drink. If it's the supporters club, which is only how long does it take to get from there? Half an hour.
When we first moved, I still used to drink in Castle Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to leave at 2:00 and I'd be in my seat for 3:00.
There you go. There you go. So, and that's
I used to get a bus.
And right, and that's queuing up as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know, so I mean, I get the whole idea about having a supporters club close to the stadium. I understand it. I hear the logic, but at the same time, diehard supporters would have travelled from the old supporters club. Anyway, it's gone now. So
we'll see. If I get on, I get on. If I don't get on, I don't get on. You know, it's I don't think they want me, to be fair. Yeah, I think that's quite obvious. You know, I find it quite strange that the amount of people standing to be elected is equal to the amount of people they want on the committee, but two people have to fight against two other people and leave two spaces empty.
Yeah.
Quite why there hasn't been a conversation there about, well, we want 7 people. Let's have this 7 then. If only 7 people have stepped forward, why not let's just sort something out and have this 7 people?
Did you ask for that particular position to be voted for? Or
I put myself forward for the The reason why I've gone, so I'm standing for the general member, and what it is that realistically, I'm not an admin person, yeah. So I can't be a membership secretary. I can't be the social club. I mean, laughably, there's a buildings managed thing, whatever. We don't even own the fucking building. What's he going to do? Turn up and unlock it? No, they've got to unlock it.
You got to put.
Yeah, I've got to hang the flag up. Oh,
well, that's it.
Yeah, I'll hang my one up. Say no to the Olympic Stadium. I've still got it. You know, but again, you think we're now like West Ham are now in a rented stadium that they can't control. That supporters club's in a rented place they can't control.
Yeah.
In 2 years' time, at the end of this season, that university might have a new maintenance bloke who says, actually,
this is the thing.
we don't want you here no more. So can you go?
This is exactly the thing. You know, my fear is I'm giving it a chance. You know, when they get it sorted and it's open to the whole of the membership. Excuse me. I think it's absolutely worth having. You know, it's a decent space.
No,
it's a decent space. But
it's a bit sterile. I'm only going off of photographs. Yeah.
No,
and
no,
I
no,
know
no.
it's early days.
You are right. It is a little bit sterile. I'll give you that. It is, but it's a decent space that you can do something with it.
Yeah.
But I think an awful lot of members, and I know I feel the same way, have said this really is the last chance. Because if this gets fucked up, you will see a huge drop.
This is the thing.
in
There's
membership.
no plan, and this is what I'm frustrated with, and this is why I want to sit in there and go, where is your planning for the full time? There is money there. They own the property that they sold in Green Street. Yeah, because this was part of the fight. Yeah, for that, because that's what the real fight was over. Not even Castle Street. The fact that they owned a house on Green Street opposite Castle Street that was ripe for selling off. So that's where the money was, and we protected it. But guess what? We sold it, banked the money. What's happened now? All I keep hearing is, oh, we keep getting, we can't compete with these restaurants that want to go in there. Look about. You're in Stratford. There's properties there.
Yeah, or the other side of the canal. Where
no, that's it.
was,
there's stuff there, that
Yeah.
could have been done and whatever.
Yeah, there are places there. It is possible, but yeah. Well, I wish you luck. You've got my vote. You know that.
Well, the AGM was the announcement, isn't it? I think it's the 16th or the 17th. I think you have to vote. The weird thing is that I went on and voted, and I looked at it, and I will admit, look, I voted for myself, yeah. But I had to hesitate, yeah, because I found it a bit strange. Because I go in and you got to vote, and then you think, oh, I can't vote for myself. That's a bit wrong, isn't it? But then you think,
why?
Well, it just seems a bit wrong to me. It just felt, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, the reason I did it because I thought, what if I lose by one vote? And I haven't voted for myself, then I'm going to think, Nigel, you're a fucking idiot. so in the end, I thought, fuck it, I'll vote for myself.
All right. Well,
so I know
that
I
has taken us over the 2-hour mark. That'll
do.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Okay. And we'll do it again soon. And are you going to any aways this season?
Yeah, I was at Palace. I don't know if you was there. I didn't see you. I
was there. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I was at Palace.
You're
doing Fulham?
I'll be at Fulham, yeah.
Okay. We'll meet up and have a beer.
We'll have to meet at the Grand. I've got a chauffeur, so
what?
I've got a chauffeur.
What do you mean you got a chauffeur?
Oh, I've got my
mate.
He's
giving you a lift in his taxi.
I've got me. No. I've got my mate. You'd know him when you see him. He's at every away game. So
right.
So he picks me up. He's who took me to Germany. He drove to Germany and back in a day. He loves driving.
When I met you at
do you remember we were at the Leverkusen? Yeah.
Yeah, Leverkusen. Yeah.
That was, and that's the thing. That was such a fantastic, that was such a fantastic 25 hours still.
Oh, mate, no way I've fucking done that in 25. No way.
He picked me up at 5:30 in the morning at Brentwood Roundabout. Yeah. We drove to Remagen. We see the bridge at Remagen where the film was made. Had an ice cream and food alongside the Rhine there. It's fucking beautiful. Drove to the Grand, parked at the Grand, watched the game, got back in the car, head to Calais, waited to Calais. He dropped me off 6:30 in the morning at the junction 31 and the M25, and I've got my wife to come and pick me up. Done in a day, mate. You don't need all them free. Obviously, going away for 3 days, his missus is blind, I'm telling you. Linny fell for it, I bet. How long was you out there for?
She went to football the other week.
Oh, was she?
Took her to fucking Man City.
What if she enjoys it? What are you gonna do?
Well, actually, she went. This was more fun. What was the game? I took her to Bournemouth.
Oh, right.
And she went. This was fucking.
Oh, that was shy. Was it the 1-1 draw?
The 1-1 draw. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
no. When we won, when we beat them 1-0.
Oh, right. Well,
for the cup, I took her to that.
Oh, wasn't it?
And I went. We're playing Man City next. You want to? That'll be exciting. She went. Yeah, I'll go. And then she was like, "Oh, this was exciting." I said, "Yeah, but we lost." She said, "Yeah, but it was fun." Oh, fucking Jesus. It's not fucking fun when you lose, but there you go. There you go. But anyway, much appreciated. And we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, a couple of weeks probably.
All right,
the
mate.
Chelsea game, isn't it? We'll see if you want to do it next week.
We'll see. Well, let's see how we feel. Let's see how we feel. Yeah. So people, don't hold us to that. It might be next week. It might be the week after, or it could be the week after that.
Yeah.
How about that?
And 69 Claret, you've missed the best episode ever.
Oh, I didn't know you was on tonight. Why didn't I get mate?
Mate, the secrets are told.
I know, especially about how we buy players and not buy players and stuff like that.
Dear.
Cheers, Nigel. Yeah, mate. Thank you all, everyone. Much appreciated. Thank you for coming on. I know a lot of people didn't get notification because it was last minute, but I really appreciate you all coming on and hope you've enjoyed it. And we will be back again very soon. So have a great weekend. No football to worry about because England doesn't count, does it? So we'll see you all very soon.